Welcome. My name is Corinne Waldow. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Boulder Chamber, and I want to thank you for joining this week's Hospitality and Events session. In future weeks, we will be combining this particular industry section with food service and grocery. That will be moving to Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. We'll go over that a little later, but we just wanted to make sure and point that out, that we'll be trying to combine some of these industries to make them more robust conversations moving forward. I want to thank you for attending these, getting your questions answered, providing feedback, and getting up-to-date information. It's important for our economy that each of us safely reopen for both other businesses and our health. As an economy, we see that people are starting to complain when they see a business not following the rules. And we know that employee and customer confidence is low. So we need to do our part to make sure we're following these safer practices so that we can collectively increase both consumer and employee confidence. I appreciate you taking time today to learn some of those practices and answer your questions. Put your questions in the Q&A feature. You can also raise your hand. I might be able to manage allowing some additional people to speak this week. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Ambra with Boulder County Public Health.
Thank you. And I just want to also thank you for putting these on every week. It is a task to stay organized and to coordinate everyone. And so I really appreciate all of your efforts. So we do have some new updates this week that I'm happy to present. And with that, I will go ahead and get started. So our agenda and purpose. So these webinars are to give you updates about Safer at Home, sharing some resources to support you, and then answering your questions. Just a couple of reminders, Boulder County Public Health cannot provide legal advice, so compliance is obligatory, requirements are frequently changing, as we know, and Boulder County Public Health is working to support you. So that's, working with our attorneys to try to get you answers that you need. And then answering your additional questions about compliance. And then if you and then also if you do need to contact an attorney, just a reminder that Boulder County Public Health cannot provide the legal advice. So our timeline here, we've added a couple of things. And so we are still under the face covering order in effect. And Safer at Home has been extended through June 30th. And then one of our new updates was June 1st, short-term rental properties were permitted. So that's Airbnb, VRBO, and other short-term properties. And then June 3rd, feedback was due for houses of worship, outdoor recreation, and personal services. And then the changes occurred today for all of those. So what is our long-term outlook? So as we know, Safer at Home will continue to evolve over time, and then that's not going away after June. Basically, our new normal will be here until we have a vaccine, treatment, or herd immunity, and it will likely be months and not weeks before that happens. Friendly reminders, COVID-19 is still just as contagious as it ever was. Continue to stay home as much as possible, and then for face coverings, when in doubt, bring it out. So I wanted to review the update for short-term rentals and just touch base on some highlights. There are some additional requirements to this, but just wanted to go over the top ones that really stood out to me. So owners are responsible for ensuring that the property is properly cleaned and sanitized between guests, and provide products for guests. So that includes hand sanitizer and cleaning products that they can use, if they have like spills or just to clean things and make it more sanitary while they're at their stay. And then remove shared objects that are difficult to clean if possible. So that includes like throw blankets, decorative pillows, or other soft objects. And then avoid scheduling back-to-back stays. So scheduling at least 24 hours between guests to ensure proper time for cleaning and disinfecting. And then another thing, provide no contact check-in or check-out, or maintain 6-foot social distancing, and wear face covering for interactions with guests, staff, and local community. So if you have to do a handoff for keys, that would be when you're wanting to do the mask and the social distancing. And then informing guests of what your COVID-19 illness policy. So something along those guidelines would be, don't come to the Airbnb if you are currently sick, and then information on what to do if you do fall ill at that time. And then just provide generous and flexible cancellation policies so that if guests start experiencing symptoms, then they can cancel before the trip. And then lastly, just inform guests of the face covering order in Boulder County and what they would need in order to go out in public, in order to go and recreate at some of the trails. So just informing them of that. And then I just wanted to share, this is where you can find the Safer at Home short-term rental CDC guidelines, and that's covid19.colorado.gov, and then /safer-at-home/short-term rentals. And then if you need additional disinfecting guidelines, the CDC has produced these wonderful sanitation and disinfecting for all facilities, which are really relevant, and then also talk to you specifically about cleaning specific items such as countertops, floors, and then cleaning products. So those are a couple of great resources. And then just wanted to review the hospitality Q&A. We've talked about these in some of the past sessions, but just wanting to reiterate some of them again. So do all guests need to wear masks to enter our hotel and to be in public areas such as hallways, stairwells, etc.? And so you're looking at what your current order is. So if you're under the City of Boulder order, you're looking at that. If you're under the Boulder County, just outside of the City of Boulder, you'd be looking at that order. But basically, you know, thinking about anytime you are in public and interacting with other people nearby, the mask would be required. So thinking like if you're in an elevator lobby. And then secondly, can I have self-serve coffee stations, water stations, continental breakfast, or buffets at my facility? And so that would be no on the self-serve. However, if you do have an attendant there to serve some of these items, that would be the requirement, but basically just leaving, you know, the coffee station out for guests to serve themselves would not be allowed. And then are gatherings of 10 people or more allowed? How many indoors versus outdoors, and what is the timeline? So currently we are still at gatherings of 10 or more, gatherings of 10 is the limit currently. And that is, you know, per event. So asking about how many indoors, how many outdoors, it would be 10 people per event. And then at this time, we do not have a timeline for when that might relax a little bit more. And then lastly, we've been getting a few calls, and I know John has been busy fielding some of these too. So concerning gathering sizes, with so many outdoor venues and spaces in Boulder County, has Boulder County submitted a variance request to the state, or do they plan to submit one to allow more than 10 people? So basically, you know, where we're at now is a single individual or business cannot submit a variance. It has to be through Boulder County to submit that to the state. So just to let you know a little more on the process of that. And we should have more information on that after today, so probably by next week. But we were waiting for more information from the state today to see how that might unfold. And then just as a general reminder, so here are some other checklists for you and some other resources listed on our website. And that is the Boulder County COVID-19 business guidance and tools. And then outbreaks. So if you have 2 or more employees with confirmed or suspected COVID-19 cases within a 14-day period, you should immediately report that to Boulder County Public Health. And then we will assist you to help determine what actions are needed next. And here's some other resources where you can go for more information. And as was mentioned, this session will be changing next week and being combined with some other sessions. And then lastly, you can contact us through the call center and through our email, covidbiz@bouldercounty.org, if you have additional questions beyond this session. Thank you.
Marianne, do you want to ask your question? You're on mute.
Thanks. I do want to ask a question. I was on a statewide call. Some destination marketing organizations, some attractions, but it was from a destination marketing organization in Pitkin County. And some of the lodging properties in the mountain towns were closed and not allowed to do short-term rentals or run as a hotel. Now that they have opened, they were under the impression that there was maximum capacity at 50%. Boulder County does not have those capacity limitations, do they?
Correct. We were discussing that, and also thinking that maybe that was something that had come from being an essential business in the beginning, but I actually have not seen anything that limits the capacity. So, I mean, I think it's really just, thinking about also, some of the things I mentioned under short-term rentals,
Right.
giving some space between guests,
Right.
just for, disinfecting and cleaning, so you might keep that in mind. But there is nothing that I found that limits capacity at this point.
Okay. And I just recently, for the hotels in the city of Boulder, late last week, sent out a questionnaire for everybody to update their sanitized procedures and all of the steps that they're making for, so we can update business listings. So I just, again, as transparent as everybody can be, because as we've talked on these calls before, we know when our guests are coming, so we can tell them as much as we can keep them informed. And we have a page on our website of what to expect and what Boulder looks like right now. So
Right.
As all of these changes are happening weekly, we're updating those pages again, because we know our guests are making reservations and coming in advance. So we have some opportunities there.
Right.
So, Amber, I know that you guys updated the script for face coverings, and there will be another resource that we send out this week, a little bit about guidance with face coverings, some of a letter that the governor sent out about not discriminating, and if someone says that they can't wear it, some of those pieces. Maybe you could bring up the new script for face coverings, if it's possible.
They have kind of, give me a minute, they've changed the format of our website. I was trying to dig in there today and find a document, so it might take me just a minute. But
no, that's not a problem. In the meantime, Marianne, we've had conversations with downtown Boulder and some other of the economic development and chambers about consumer confidence, and maybe you could talk a little bit about where that is right now and what we've seen and why it's so important that we work together as a collective group of businesses to raise that.
Well, it's inching up. It's inching up week over week. Downtown Boulder did an amazing survey and really robust response within 10 days or something. And it was about a third of people that were confident to go, a third not confident, and then a lot of question in between. And that consumer confidence depends on what activity people are planning on doing. Going into a restaurant is just inching up above 25% of the people. Staying overnight in a hotel or short-term rental, such as Airbnb, is getting up about 28 to 30%. So as people are getting out and the rules being relaxed some, I think people seeing dining out will give the consumer a little bit more confidence. So we're following those research pieces very, very carefully, because Colorado's no different than any place else in the country. I think the good news about Colorado is that we responded quickly, and we followed guidelines from the health department of safe at home. That has resolved and saved us, and so that practice. But I know what the script that we're going to come up with is something probably similar to our open space mountain parks, and it's really not policing, but really opening the dialogue to thinking about people being safe. We want you to be safe, and we want you to protect our employees and be safe too.
And so when someone who has that trepidation or fear walks into a facility and doesn't see employees wearing masks, or that's not going to benefit any of us if we're not following the rules that are already existing.
Right.
So even if it's not your business, another business doing it may impact you as well.
Right. And if you're a consumer on that side, you could tell that operator, I'm not comfortable coming into your business because people are not wearing face covers. And when people realize they may lose a sale because of that, because people are not wearing face covers, that will turn around behavior as well, because people want to feel safe and they want their employees to feel safe. So, yeah.
And I think, through these webinars, we've alerted businesses to the fact that employees are actually calling in complaints of their own employers. Customers are. And Ambra, can you talk a little bit we can go through the script, but then the second piece is, what do you guys do when there's a report or a complaint up against a business?
So we have been getting a lot of mask complaints. So, and actually it's mostly just been, it's not the employees that we're hearing about now. It's actually, just people just not wearing masks when they're coming in. So basically, we call to follow up with the business to find out, what their requirements are. So have they posted, the mask signage out there requiring it? And then I think, what I really stress too is just having it in more than one place, because really it's, people open the door, they're not even looking. But, if you make it front and present, at least they have an understanding that it's a requirement. And then, there are the exemptions. So if you do have a health issue and under 12 years old in the county, that's the requirements there. But, if they do have a medical condition, then they would not be held to wearing a mask. But I think, even just, asking them, like, do you have a mask like in your car that you could go put on? I think, that really does go a long way. Than just, being like forcing and demanding. It's just like, yeah, do you just have one in your car that you could go grab? So I think it's really just, talking to them. And, there are quite a few people that just refuse to wear them, like just in general, as I've seen, and as we, hear these complaints. But I think it's really just, doing the best you can to try to get the message across that, you're trying to protect your employees and that, and protect the other patrons that are shopping. And, ultimately protecting them too. So I think it's really all about, increasing communication and increasing signage.
And right here is the sample script, because part of it is educating, it's not just management, it's also the employees working, having the resources at their fingertips to be able to have that conversation and to understand why, understand the why of the requirements, that this is countywide or this is statewide, and it's something that as a business we like to follow. And so this is one of those resources that we provide if you want to walk through it.
Yeah, sure. So really it's just like, welcome to the business. I see that you aren't wearing a face covering. Do you have one available you can put on now, or do you have one in your car that you could go grab? And then this is just a tree of, if they say yes or no, and then moving to the next steps. So yes, they do have a mask in their car, so they go out and grab it. And so like, great, thanks for bringing one. And then please put your face covering on now and we'll continue. And so then just let them in. Or no, they don't want to wear a mask or have one available. And in some cases, stores are selling the masks too now. So well, we do have them available for $2.99 just up at the register. Or they do not have a mask available, or they shared that they have a medical reason as not to wear one. So that would be the other case. So, so from going there, they would basically say, unfortunately, since you don't have a face covering on, we won't be able to provide you with these services or products right now, or please remember to bring one the next time that you come into the store. And then thank you for understanding. And this is kind of where I'm going into where we're doing our part to keep everyone safe and follow the requirements of safer at home. And we don't want to jeopardize like our business or your health in any way. So that's kind of how this decision tree works.
With any complaint, just like complaint into a business, any complaint you guys get, it's about education. The first step is about education. So that's why those checklists are in place. That's why these resources are available, is to help businesses And then your number one tool is also education when you call up a business and say, hey, we've got a complaint. Do you have access to the checklist? Have you been, doing these types of things? And so we've heard that, that's a good first step with a lot of businesses.
Just want to remind everybody that not only the hotels on the call or short-term rentals are on the call, people are coming from all over the country and have had completely different experiences with COVID-19. And they may, they probably didn't have a face covering in place in the county, the city that they lived in. So it just, when people visit or coming into a restaurant, you can't tell if they're from Boulder or Boulder County, unless they're wearing yoga pants at a fancy, really upscale dinner.
Their dog and drive a Subaru.
Right.
But we just always have to understand that some of us have been living in this world and very, very attached to it. But it's all, like Corinne said, it's just our opportunity to share with people that this, this is a really important matter. And it's not our rule, it's the county health. And, when we get to the point that this has passed, we'll get back to a time that we're not always going to be living under these circumstances. But it's great to live under these circumstances and get out to shop and go travel and eat out in restaurants. So just taking that real positive attitude really can go a long way.
So Ambra, the latest revision of the stay-at-home or safer-at-home order, which is I think revision number 5, it didn't have many changes for this particular industry except for the short-term rentals. This particular order expires on June 30th. What do we expect to happen in the coming months? Are we going to be in safer-at-home for a little while? What's going to happen in the next part?
Yeah, it seems like we're going to be here for quite a while, and we're really looking to see where we're going to be at here, even in a couple weeks. As far as especially with the riots that have been going on, exposure from those, and just the county. Are people really wearing their masks? Are they really trying to social distance? We just got out of having a holiday, Memorial Day. Were people gathering in public with all their friends and family with no masks? So I think it's really just a waiting game to see where we're going to be, here even in a couple weeks, and then it's just we take it basically week by week to see how much more we can open up.
And could you remind us in the latest rules that there was some things about outdoor pools and indoor pools? Is that correct?
Yes.
Could you just cover that a little bit, because some of our hotels do have indoor or outdoor?
Right. As far as I know, they are allowing them with a 10-person maximum. So, think about, if you do have a lifeguard out there, that would be somebody that counts toward that 10. But those are opening up, especially I know the HOAs are pretty excited about that, to have, that for all of their guests too. So even if you are, at an Airbnb and they have a pool, that would be applicable as well. But I think, they really do have to maintain those guidelines for sanitation and cleaning. And so you want to make sure that they're doing that in order, I would be. If I was going to, use a pool. So I think that's what the limits are currently.
So that went into effect today, and there is a difference between outdoor and indoor pools. It is,
right.
And that was just in the draft guidance. None of us have seen the final guidance yet. It hasn't actually been posted.
Right.
So I would continue to look today on that, the gyms, the outdoor rec, the pools, because there was like 1 lap swimmer per lane, and there were a lot of companies that wrote in and said, could we do 2? So businesses had that opportunity to do feedback. So we're waiting to see what
right.
the final guidance says.
So that would also tie into hotels that may have a small workout room, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, again, I'm trying to think of all the different types of operations that might be on the phone that go, okay, I'm good. But again, some things changed.
Well, and we had an HOA and a hotel call into the fitness one this week, and they said, we clean our gym, our area, once a week or something like that, or it's not, probably not the case of a hotel, but it's not in between each person. And the guidance really was about making sure those common touch areas are continually cleaned and so forth. So I would definitely look at some of the cleaning procedures under the gym area when it comes out, and some of that, some of those pieces. We also talked a little bit about restaurants and food service last week because those guidances came out, and hotels, a lot of them have food service. And one of the questions that just came in is about live entertainment. This was covered a little bit last week, but can they have live entertainment? You know, if social distancing is practiced, is live entertainment allowed?
I haven't seen anything that they can't. But I think, as Zach mentioned last week, you know, we really don't want to have people congregating around a band, right? So I think if it's just, you know, somebody playing piano, or, you know, you just have like one person playing guitar or something like that. So just thinking about, you know, the music that you are allowing in, that it's not going to be for, you know, everybody's there just for the music and not for, you know, as a background.
And something Lane reminds people on every call is that, remember, it takes away some of your square footage. You have the band members social distancing because it's hard to sing with a mask. And then you don't have a dance floor, and that's going to take away some of your square footage that you have for being able to feed guests at tables, because those tables have to be 6 feet apart. So just keep that in mind. But the original draft said no live entertainment. The actual order that went into place doesn't mention it anymore. So
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then the outdoor piece, it depends on your noise ordinance, how late you can have you know, music outside based on your municipality, is what's come up on some previous calls. So I hope that answers this person's question. You know, I think that one of the pieces that keeps coming up is, you know, is this our new norm? You know, like, is this just going to be a short-term thing, or should we start thinking about the evolution of some of our practices, because we're gonna be in situations where we continually, you know, monitor our employees, you know, health. We continually try to practice, you know, social distancing or some of those. Is there a piece of this that we probably need to start thinking about some of these industries and how we can make this a more of a long-term sustainable practice? Maybe Mary Ann, you can talk a little bit about that.
So much, some people on these calls, some people that hold events are the people that are just kind of the group meetings over 10 people. And again, the square footage, you know, equating square footage versus the number of people. I think that translates into restaurants too, you know, because 50 people could overwhelm a restaurant or never be able to make it. So that uncertainty, and I know when people were moving group business, they were trying to move it to September or October. And that's still uncertain right now, because it could have been a conference of 200 people. And, you know, people that come in early, stay late. That uncertainty with planners, with wedding receptions, bat mitzvahs, all of those types of gathering is just so uncertain. Just in, you know, the hotels are getting these calls. You know, good news is I'm working in the office, so I can reclaim my house, and most of the time the only one here. But really, just sharing with people that these are, you know, the governor's orders, the county and state health department. So all of these things are uncertain, and what we just need to assure our clients is these are not our guidelines. We are trying to give the best information forward to be able to help the health departments and the governor understand these issues, so that ultimately everybody needs to be safe. And we want, if you have a gathering, that everybody comes healthy, leaves healthy, and does not need to be traced after they've been at a gathering, because that something has happened, somebody came down with something. So it's really a very, very difficult situation, and we just want to be as empathetic and compassionate, and having people from other areas understand this is the current guidelines. If we're working 30 days or 15 days in advance, that does not work for group gatherings, especially when you have a meeting planner and you have speakers and that are coming from all over the country, have all of these different activities. You can't turn that group around. It's like our softball tournament couldn't wait till the orders this week to find out if July 1st would work for their softball tournament. He had 186 teams of, 9 girls apiece and their parents, so we don't know what August is going to be. And that uncertainty will remain for a while. As Amber set this out, this is the new norm. Well, the new norm will have tweaks to it, but the tweaks will probably be every month. And I think I've kind of resolved myself to that, which is very difficult.
Well, we've had some industries today ask, when can I go beyond 50% or 50 people? And there are some industries that aren't even open yet. This is one of those calls where events, that's the issue. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we did with gyms and outdoor recreation or restaurants was offer that feedback period for businesses to provide feedback. And I'm going to put into the chat the general state feedback link.
Corinne, you're muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
This is a thing I'm going to put into the chat, the COVID concerns, link that if it's not general, it's just not industry specific, but continually give the state your feedback, even when they're not asking for it. Right now, they were asking for gyms and outdoor rec and so forth. But I just posted in the chat where you can continually give the state, because it's the state that is leading a lot of these charges, and we need our businesses to tell, for example, Hotel Boulder, it needs to be based on square footage, not necessarily just a blanket. As you can imagine, that was also the case with gyms. So I think Boulder County Public Health keeps feeding your input up, but I recommend that every business, that has concerns that hasn't been able to have an opportunity to send those to the state directly as a business as well.
Well, and later this week, the Colorado Hotel Lodging Association has a call-in with Governor Polis. So it's a town hall. I would recommend logging into that and listening and being able to understand what he is telling us, but us having him understand kind of the circumstances. Because I think as I pushed some stuff up to the county health a couple of weeks ago, that same information is being pushed to the state health department from the State Hotel Association. Everybody's being educated about how use of space is really critical as we move forward.
Well, we have a question about, why can restaurants have up to 50? It's 50% or 50, whichever is smaller, but not a large ballroom. And part of the answers were, well, the restaurants were those 8 people sitting at one table, not talking to another table. So I think there's just this general perception that events, there's going to be some intermixing of individuals, or there's going to be networking and so forth. So I think being able to clear up how you can safely open in your particular situation would be good. Another question, I think, Marianne, you'll probably be able to answer this one. Have you heard anything about the Ironman 70.3 being either postponed or canceled?
We got an email late last week. They're still in communication with everyone. They're pretty much like the softball tournament that I just talked about. They are very optimistic. But I didn't get a response back to how many, if they've had cancellations and if they, what the registration is and all of those things. early August is pretty early. We maximized our numbers the last few years at about 2,700 participants, all getting in the reservoir. Ambra, close your ears. All getting in the reservoir to start their clock. I just, I am hopeful.
Yeah, well, outdoor pools are at 50 max right now, so I don't know what the reservoir example is on that. So I think that as soon as that information is available, I think, they're trying to.
I will share it, as I found out about the same time a couple of our hotels found out the softball. I'll share it out to and again, these are big events and are big economic drivers, and showcase our cities so well and showcase our state so well.
Yeah. Well, and the gyms this week are in the gyms and the fitness and the outdoor rec start opening this week there. I know that even in the youth sports, it specifically says no tournaments. So he probably made the right decision based on the information at the time, and the order does will most likely not allow tournaments anyways. So
yeah, that's what he figured. Do I have any more
questions out there? Amber, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think I have anything else to add right now.
We're gonna miss you. We're gonna have Zach and some other people covering this call in the future. But thank you for everything you've done to try to keep us informed.
Yeah, thank you all of your great questions and just keeping things moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Best we can. So
I would suggest to those people on the call, especially since this is one of the industries that hasn't seen some of the opening that some of the other industries have seen, to talk to your state individuals to submit information through that COVID concerns link that I'll also send in the email, to show how you can practice a safe reopening within your space. At this point, I'm gonna close it out by saying thank you. Thank you for continuing to get information. Thank you, Mary Ann, for being on these to help give it a little bit of an industry perspective and ask questions and to answer questions. And thank you to Boulder County Public Health for providing 10 hours a week of these types of calls so that we can safely reopen our economy for our health and for our economic well-being. So we will see everybody next week on Tuesdays. And you get an email from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ambra. Thanks, Corinne.